Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. Dylan here. We have some major updates with key arrests that are taking place that I want to discuss. People getting thrown behind bars, thrown out of the country, really getting these criminals off of the streets, and also these criminals who are doing some really bad things finally being taken accountable for. So we're going to dive into this, but before we do, we're going to read scripture and pray because God comes first. Amen? Comment amen if you believe that. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Amen. Remember, my brothers and sisters, that God is with you, whether you realize it or not. Everywhere you go, He is with you. Amen. Okay, my friends, we do have breaking news. A captain has now been arrested after boat capsizes in New York Harbor, killing 2. Take a listen, guys.
This morning, a tragedy in New York Harbor, now a criminal investigation after a leisure boat overturned, killing a mother and a young child and injuring a dozen others.
Our New York traffic got a report of an overturned vessel around Buttermilk 1.
The boat capsized late Saturday evening around 10:20 near the Statue of Liberty. First responders rushing to the darkened waters, desperately searching for survivors.
The rescue boats are now on site. They're saying the baby might be underneath the boat.
Officials say 14 people were aboard the 22-foot recreational power vessel, which typically only holds 10 to 12 passengers. The Coast Guard, NYPD, FDNY, and nearby private vessels all joining the frantic rescue mission.
I was just hoping that they would find them safely and alive, and hopefully they're okay and they make it.
27-year-old Sarah Sanchez and her 5-month-old daughter, Antonella Garcia, were transported to the hospital where they were both pronounced dead. The family's neighbors in disbelief.
They were very friendly, very respectful.
Sanchez's husband, Andres Garcia, survived. His employer tells our New York station the couple was on that boat celebrating a friend's birthday.
Wow, could you imagine celebrating a friend's birthday and then your boat literally capsizes?
Their 6-year-old son was home with a babysitter. An online fundraising site set up by Garcia's colleagues says the young father must now find the strength to move forward and be there for their son. 12 other passengers were safely rescued and treated for minor injuries. These images showing the moment the boat was pulled from the water. The boat's operator, 46-year-old Manuel Hernandez of Manhattan, arrested at the scene. Investigators are looking into whether the trip may have been operating as an illegal charter. Now that suspect is in federal custody at this moment. Those federal charges could be coming later today. Robin.
So incredibly sad, Matt. Thank you.
Really crazy, and we do have chilling details released in Arizona student murder case as well.
So now an Indian national studying business at the University of Arizona, now accused of murdering his girlfriend, then fleeing the country.
Oh my goodness. And look, he even has a freaking earring in his left ear.
The 20-year-old was arrested in Germany, now awaits extradition to Arizona on charges of murder and kidnapping. Senior correspondent Claudia Cowan picks up the story from there. And Claudia, what have we learned? Hello.
Well, good morning, Bill. According to her friends, this young woman was so afraid of her boyfriend, she was planning to break up with him. Now she's dead and he's in custody halfway around the world after police say he tried to escape to his native India. 20-year-old Varun Bachagari was arrested in Germany after he allegedly strangled 19-year-old Julissa Salazar, a student at the University of Arizona. According to authorities, she was found on the floor of her Tucson apartment on Thursday with obvious signs of trauma on her neck. Detectives say that same day, Bachagari stole Salazar's phone and credit cards and sent a series of messages to her mother pretending to be her, which led to a welfare check request and the discovery of her body. According to police, Bachagari traveled to the Tucson International Airport, where he boarded a flight to Germany with plans to continue to his home country of India. At the Berlin airport, German authorities, working with the FBI and Tucson police, were waiting to take him in. Federal sources tell Fox Bachagari came to the U.S. on a student visa in January of 2024 and was studying business at the University of Arizona.
Okay, studying business at the University of Arizona. It ain't the most prestigious degree in America. University of Arizona is a big party school. and studying business. It's not necessarily a concrete, it's not a trade program. I would just be someone to say that maybe we don't need these programs anymore. I mean, you could learn business stuff by reading books now. There's AI programs, there's online schools. I think college is really gonna be shifting away, and we're gonna really see a big shift away from these degrees that it doesn't make any practical sense right now to go spend 4 years in college and learn business. It really doesn't. I hate to break it to you guys, but that's just the reality.
But he was reportedly kicked out after getting into a fight. Police say he had a history of domestic violence, including allegedly sexually assaulting Julissa Salazar in the past. Her family has now set up a GoFundMe, saying the 19-year-old leaves behind her parents and 2 younger sisters who love her and miss her more than words can express. Bachagari is now awaiting extradition back to Arizona, where he will be booked into the Pima County Jail on first-degree murder and kidnapping charges.
So it does seem like he's been arrested.
All right, Claudia, thank you for that. Martha's got more on this. Claudia Cowan, thanks, Martha.
What do you guys
let's
think?
Bring in the former DOJ prosecutor, Jim Trusty. Jim, good morning to you.
And we do have new details with the golf course, the guy who was arrested at the Trump golf course in California. This armed man was arrested, and officials are now on high alert. Take a listen.
Concerning statements could definitely mean something relative to Donald Trump, or it could just be some other stuff. We don't know. But certainly the indications early are not great in light of the firepower he had, the fact that he was doing recon at a location that Donald Trump was going to be at, and he wasn't golfing.
So we're watching this scary story here. Officials are on high alert after an armed suspect was arrested at President Trump's California golf club just 2 days before he was scheduled there to arrive. Authorities say 38-year-old Janine John Tail was seen walking the course while taking photos and videos of security agents. The arrest comes months after a gunman opened fire at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That attempt was one of several threats made on the president's life over the past 2 years. President Trump reacting to the arrest on Fox News at night.
The only thing I get a little solace from is they say only consequential presidents. And I am definitely consequential.
Okay, James Galliano is a retired FBI supervisory special agent and Fox News contributor. James, great to see you.
How many times has Trump nearly been assassinated, or have people tried to assassinate him or plotted assassination attempts that we even know of?
Good to see you, Aisha.
Let me pick your brain here and get an observation from you. You know, authorities spotted this guy doing what appeared to be casing the place. He was watching what security agents were doing. He was getting a lay of the land. Based on what you've read so far from authorities and official statements, what do you think he was up to here?
Well, I shall tell you this. Complete amateur. This was not a professional. There's no way in the world if somebody was going to case a joint and was a professional criminal, or somebody that was seeking to assassinate the president, who's supposed to appear there in a couple of days, that he would have gone about it this way. This was total cosplaying. Now, in the instance, he was basically impersonating a diplomatic security service officer, and those are like the folks that do the investigations and provide security in embassies. And to do it so blatantly out in the open, come back 2 days in a row, knowing that he was being watched while he was conducting this quote-unquote surveillance, I think this was somebody cosplaying, probably someone with mental health issues, and I think that's going to come out soon.
I want to just quickly go over what they found on him. An illegally modified AR platform rifle, a .45 caliber pistol, body armor, high-capacity magazines, bolt pistol, rifle ammunition, multiple notebooks, 2 radio signal devices, and some concerning statements, James, that they have not released yet. So we don't know if those statements are tied to President Trump, if that's the link here. We'll find out. But, you know, every time something like this happens, we talk about the rhetoric across the country right now and how violent and dangerous it's gotten when it comes to politics. I was reading online from the Nonpartisan Institute of Strategic Dialogue, and they said that violent online rhetoric targeting leading U.S. public officials actually jumped more than threefold between 2021 and 2025. And would you believe that nearly half of them were aimed at President Trump? Something has to change here.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. And look, politicians are prone to overwrought hyperbole. They always come out in the wake of these things and say, we've got to tone it down, and they never do that. And look, in this instance, if there were troubling statements that this man had made, either via digital exhaust, something he'd said online, targeting or threatening the president, he can be charged. The feds will come in over the top. Right now, they're holding him on charges because apparently the weapon system in his home that they secured through a search warrant had either a shortened barrel, an AR-15 has to have a 16-inch barrel, or the platform itself was shortened. But, you know, hollow point bullets are legal. Even bulletproof vests are legal for citizens to own. But this is also somebody that had been arrested before for robbery and was out on $250,000 bail. So something to look at.
Yeah, we'll watch it. James Galliano, thank you.
That's pretty wild and honestly pretty crazy. Look at this. LA street takeover spark AutoZone looting spree. What's going on in California? We're tuning in. We're looking at different stuff going on. Arrests taking place. East LA AutoZone looted again during street takeover. Holy moly, guys.
Ginger, thank you. A series of street takeovers across LA County have been followed by looting at several AutoZone stores. At least 4 locations have been targeted so far. KTLA's Eric Spillman joins us live in Downey with the details. Eric, good morning.
Morning, Frank. This AutoZone here in Downey was targeted early this morning by looters, and they still haven't had a chance yet to board up the windows in the front. They're missing here out of the front door and the front of the entrance to the store. In at least one case of these looting incidents at AutoZone stores, a group of young people ransacked the same store twice in just 24 hours, and often these break-ins are happening after a street takeover nearby. Now, here in Downey, police tell us they got the call that a group of people were looting this AutoZone on Firestone Boulevard at around 4 this morning. They smashed the windows and began taking stuff. Cops got here quickly. They arrested 4 people as they were leaving the store. The same group also broke into a Spirit Halloween location not far away, and something similar happened in East LA. Yeah, it's a free-for-all at the AutoZone on Atlantic and Olympic, with people running in and then leaving with their hands full of merchandise from the store. They hit this location on Saturday. Then store employees restocked the shelves. And then the looters broke in again on Sunday morning. Again, there was a street takeover nearby when it happened. The spectators are believed to be responsible. The second time they ransacked this store, the damage was more severe. The manager says they broke all the computers and destroyed all the wiring in the electrical system. It'll take a few days to complete the repairs, and so the store will be closed for a while. And when the store is closed, the employees don't get paid. Now, as if that weren't enough, an AutoZone in Watts was also targeted by a large group of looters over the weekend. This was near the intersection of Imperial Highway and...
This is the reality of California. It pisses me off because California pays so much freaking taxes. I pay so many California state taxes, and all these leaders are like defund the police, you know, like they're not doing anything about the crime, the homeless people. It's just wild. Like, where's that money going? Can you at least keep California safe? Like, literally, where does that money go? I want a detailed report because it's my money being wasted.
Central Avenue, where there had been as many as 50 cars doing donuts and burnouts, and yet another AutoZone location was hit in Long Beach as well. You see the windows boarded up there. We talked to some customers here in Downey this morning. They're not surprised about the connection between the auto parts chain and the street takeovers. What do you think's going on?
They're using the parts for the cars. So I don't know what to tell you.
What do you think that does to the price of the merchandise in the store if they're always getting stuff stolen?
Well, I think it goes up. The prices go up, and bad for us, for the consumers.
Back here live, employees came here early this morning to clean up this store here in Downey. Looks like it is now open for business. We got a call in to the corporate headquarters of AutoZone. They're based in Memphis, and want to ask them, you know, what, if anything, they can do to prevent this sort of thing from happening in the future. It's a big hit to your business. People are repeatedly breaking into your stores.
And look at this one, another one. CA teens arrested in connection. Look at this. This is insane. California, like, these arrests are all taking place in California. Come on, dude. 77 robberies. Teens arrested after 77 robberies. Over $250,000 recovered.
Teens are facing charges after police connected them to at least 77 robberies across the Bay Area. Kids are accused of stealing a variety of things, including cars, guns, and power tools. Detectives arresting 3 of the suspects during the sweep operation, while the 4th was already in custody in juvie on an unrelated case. 37-year-old is also facing charges for receiving stolen goods from the teens.
That is literally wild to me that all of this stuff is going on. Like, all of these arrests taking place, destruction in California. This is why it's like, it doesn't make any sense to me why people are pissed that Trump's president, because still in these liberal states, you have these liberal policies. This is what a liberal, city looks like, really.
Extra security workers here hoping this stops. Another break-in, another night boarding up windows and doors at this East LA AutoZone. Cell phone video shows looters swarming the store Sunday morning around a door already boarded up from the night before, leaving with hands full of stolen batteries, oil, mats, whatever they could grab.
I come here all the time, and there should be no reason why people do this. They're gonna get caught.
The first break-in early Saturday morning during a street takeover involving at least 100 cars at Olympic and Atlantic. Then 24 hours later, another takeover, another break-in, no arrest. And then in Watson, almost identical scene Sunday morning at a different AutoZone. Another street takeover, another store looted, even a Waymo set on fire. And now this worker boarding up the store again, but wearing a bullet-resistant vest. Dangerous,
Yeah, it's dangerous, yeah, especially at night, So I need to protect myself too, because you never know,
3 AutoZone break-ins, 2 locations, all in just 24 hours. How often are you doing this sort of stuff?
We're doing 24/7 breaking into houses, places like this. It's not safe anymore.
Investigators say they're reviewing surveillance footage as well as cell phone video to try to identify suspects. They're also increasing patrol in the area. Reporting in East LA, Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
So, what do you guys think? Would you guys live in California? Comment below. With all this stuff going on, look at this. Illegal immigration crackdown. DHS reports 1.4 million plus departures since January. Look, take a listen. This is insane, guys.
ICE is touting a recent raid in Atlanta where they arrested more than 1,200 illegal aliens. This comes after President Trump signed 2 executive orders to crack down on birthright citizenship and birth tourism.
They've taken birthright citizenship and they've made a joke out of it. And we're actually the only country of size, I think just about the only country, period, that does birthright citizenship. I thought we were going to win it at the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, we had a bad decision, very unfair decision. Our country suffers because of it, and we're ending it a different way.
The DOJ is also launching a new grant program called Bridging Immigration-Related Deficits Experienced Nationwide, or Biden for short. They offer up to $3 billion to cities that team up with federal immigration enforcement. And that's just one piece of the administration's immigration crackdown. For more, we turn to Joey Jones, who is at the big board. Joey.
Yeah, guys, there's only one way to look at this, and that's through the numbers and then have a debate on if those numbers are where they should be or need to be. So we're going to go on the big numbers first. So the amount of arrests, the amount of apprehensions, depending on and in custody, we need to break this down a little bit. So you've got CPB and ICE. We've got the 7-day average, which is, hovering around 1,000 for CPB, over 1,000 for ICE. Then you've got total. And this is just basically the end of January in 2025. So this is almost a 18-month thereabout total. You've got almost 500,000 with CPB. You've got well over 500,000 with ICE. And then, so that brings it all together to obviously more than a million, quite a bit. These are just arrests. Then you look at your in custody 7-day average. It's pretty similar numbers between ICE as far as your 7-day average in August of 26 and 25. But the number actually does tick up in everything in 2026. So if you're talking about pacing on the calendar year, we're doing as much this year, if not a little bit more, than we did last year. The big difference there being a new DHS director and everything that happened in Minneapolis that supposedly has changed this strategy and how they want to arrest folks.
All right, Joey, so how many illegals?
So that's actually crazy that the arrests, the 7-day average, you're looking at almost 2,000. That's wild to me. A day.
Have been deported since President Trump has taken office.
Yeah, that's it. How many have been deported? That's the number that Americans care about. That's the number that Americans who voted for President Trump care about. So right now, the number is 1.484574. That's the number that we have right now today. There are other numbers out there. These don't all add up to that, and I don't have a clear explanation why. But these numbers are very current and are very well sourced through DHS. And so the reason why I want to put this up here is you need to look at this number here, known self-departures. That's your second biggest number on the screen. Now, why is that? From what I understand and what I'm being told by agents, when someone is arrested by ICE or CPB, they have the option to go then self-deport, leave now. If you're from South America, chances are you're out of the country within a week. If you're from places like Iran, that might take a little longer because they may not take their people back. And so those known self-departures, a lot of those fold into the ICE operations and CPB operations. So when you look at this number, it is closer to a deportation number than anything else. And also, I thought it was interesting to put the United States Coast Guard up there at 952. Their numbers fall under the State Department, and you have to roll them back in. So when you see numbers reported out there, sometimes it's where they're coming from and making sure all the agencies are accounted for.
So, Joey,
1.4 million. And comment below, do you think this is good, or do you think the immigrants should simply be left alone, allowed to live here? Comment below, because I'm a bit torn on this topic. You know, I feel for them because they were essentially invited to come in during the Biden administration. They come in, they start their life, they get all these free benefits. Trump kicks them out. It's like, it is a little bait and switch, like, you know. So I definitely feel emotionally for these people who are getting kicked out of the country. Now, the criminals who have done nasty crimes, nasty things, I don't care for them being deported. I simply don't, because they're, you know, these are people committing nasty crimes. They're dangerous people. The innocent ones who just come here and are working normal jobs, they're providing for their family, and, you know, they came in and they essentially just walked right across the border during the Biden administration, and, you know, they were basically told, like, hey, you're fine to be here, and they started their lives. And then that's a bad situation, right? That's where I think a lot of conservatives are like, yeah, that makes total sense. We understand that, you know, we should be a little bit more lenient on those people.
all of that enforcement you're talking about sounds pretty expensive. What are taxpayers actually paying for all of this?
Yeah, so this is interesting. So a lot of people, especially on the Democrat side, would say, hey, it costs money to deport them, costs more money to deport them than it does to keep them here. Well, I don't know, not so fast. So the U.S. average is about $2,500, so that's per taxpayer, to do the deportation operation. So that's different than per person being deported. So it costs the average taxpayer right now, in our efforts at ICE, when you look at all the funding and everything, about $2,500. But when you're talking about the price per illegal immigrant of what they're costing taxpayers a year, you're at almost $10,000. You're over $9,000. So what does that mean? That means it's not a one-for-one. It's not, you know, it costs $2,500 to deport this person and $9,000 to keep them here. But what it does mean is this is a compounding number. That's $9,000 a year per taxpayer for the illegal immigrationists here. We're not even touching the fraud. So once you find out what that real fraud number is and start to factor it out, that number only goes up.
The fraud number is huge, and who knows what that is.
And that number attacks both sides.
Precisely. So with all those numbers in mind, where are the estimated, what is it, around 330,000 Haitian
Yeah,
migrants.
so this is a
who could
more
be caught up in all this,
nuanced
Joey.
part.
Go ahead.
So this is what happened. We just had the opportunity. The Trump administration was just allowed to go after that temporary protected status for other countries as well, but mainly Haiti, or at least that's the one that's made the most headlines for obvious reasons. So a couple of things here. One, you can see the states that they're primarily condensed in. And ICE is operating in these states, but I think that the nature of ICE right now is to keep things below the public view. They don't want the things that happen in Minneapolis. They don't want opportunities for those things to happen again. Whether that's right or wrong, a good strategy or not, that's their strategy. But you've got big numbers, 40,000 in New York, 14,000 in Ohio. A lot of them work in the healthcare industry there in Ohio. So some of the hospitals aren't happy about them leaving. But you know what? Hey, they're here illegally. It's time for them to go, no matter how long they've been here. So one of the things they're doing, they've got these GPS monitors. We can't get a number on how many of them have them, but it shows you what they're trying to do with them. You can't leave a 75-mile radius without permission. You can't skip your check-ins. You can't remove or tamper with it. What you can do is you can apply to self-deport. That's number one. That's what they're actually encouraging them to do right now as they litigate the process of deportation. If you self-deport, that saves us all money. It saves you time being held in detention once we make that decision. Obviously, they're going to give them some money. I don't know if that's going to stick around forever. And you can organize their return lawfully, give them the best chance of success when they get there. Listen, guys, you know, a lot of Americans want to see a lot of mass deportations, tens of thousands. I think that a lot of Americans voted for that. What DHS is saying is that it's not that easy. I don't know.
All right, we're going to bring it back over to the table for some hot thoughts on this hot topic.
So, look, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys agree or disagree with these deportations? I want to hear your thoughts on this. Either way, they're ramping up. They're getting more and more and more.
Joe, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah.
So we see some of the numbers here. DHS is, giving us some of them. I don't know the exact breakdown of the numbers and how many of these people have final orders or how many of this is rolled over for when Kristi Noem was in charge of DHS. There's a lot of ambiguity in the numbers that we have over there that I have my own thoughts on. Okay. But from what Joey showed us there with the overall deportation numbers, do you think that that is fulfilling the mission that we voted for?
Can I answer your question with a question? You said here your own thoughts in terms of the numbers. I want to hear them.
Oh, well, the deportation number, the arrest numbers, I wish we had a little bit more of a breakdown of what those numbers entail. Okay. I think that there's a lot more insight that we could be given from DHS, and I would like to know if there's any worksite enforcement going on. I would like to know if, again, some of these numbers here of the arrests, they also include people who are turned around at the border. There's a lot that the numbers can tell you, and a lot from the Obama administration when they had similar numbers, and they also used some of the same strategies in those numbers. So there's a lot more that we could get into, Joe, but I'm not going to filibuster this entire segment.
No, don't do it.
I do want to ask you, though.
Tease the audience. I want it all out there.
I think that the more transparent DHS could be about the numbers and where the enforcement is occurring and how many of these people are worst of the worst and how many of these people have a criminal record and how many of these people are just in our country illegally taking our jobs and filling our schools. I think that's important for the American people to know.
You want some assurance that they're not picking and choosing based on their own personal whims. Like, hey, I want these people on this farm, but I don't want them in that factory. And that's what a lot of Americans are asking. And that's why when Mark Wayne Mullins says what he said in that one interview, people start asking questions. Now, he backed it up with a post. But then now there's enough ambiguity there that people start asking more questions and get more skeptical.
Yeah. So, Joe, back to my original question. Do you think that deportation number satisfies the mass deportation promise?
I think in the end, and we talked about this last night, it bears repeating, until the Save America Act is passed, you could deport as many people as you like. But if that does not pass and we don't have a system where illegals are not voting in any way, shape, or form, which the Save America Act would do, then I don't know if any of this matters. In the big picture, that is the whole ball game, is passing that act. And the fact that Murkowski's not going to vote for it because, well, she's basically a Democrat, and Susan Collins won't because she's an election year, and Tom Tillis is a prick. Sorry, he's just doing to carry this out against Trump. And then obviously Mitch McConnell hasn't spoken to a camera in 2 months. And so,
yeah, what is going on with Mitch McConnell? Does anybody know?
You pass that, I don't think all these numbers matter. I really don't.
Anita, in terms of breaking this down, and let's talk about the TPS. So it was a big victory for the Trump administration to be able to end this temporary, which has been forever.
So I want to hear from you. What do you guys think? Do you think these deportations are high enough? Do you think they should be lower? Do you think they should be higher than this? I want to hear your thoughts on this one down below. It does look like we do have an update with Lindsay Clancy murder trial. She's accused of killing 3 children. This is obviously, no sentence has been taken place yet, but that is Lindsay Clancy. Does look like we do have some updates there. Convicted Kingpin Glennie McGee was just sentenced to life in prison. We have a lot of updates today. Let's listen in, guys.
At 5, a convicted drug kingpin will go to prison for life. That's the sentence handed down just this afternoon to Glennie Antonio Littleman McGee. Our Brendan Kirby is in the studio with the very latest. And Brendan, that is the same punishment the judge imposed on McGee's wife yesterday.
It is, Lenice. In addition to the prison time, U.S. District Judge Terry Moore also fined McGee $10 million. He had harsh words for the defendant. Judge Moore saying he feels so strongly about the case that if every federal judge were arbitrarily limited to imposing a life sentence in only 3 cases, this would be one of them. Assistant U.S. Attorney George May referenced the part of this case that's gotten the most attention. A 3-year-old boy wearing a backpack full of cocaine during a raid on a stash house on Harvey Court in Mobile in March 2024. According to testimony, McGee used children as couriers in his multi-million-dollar drug enterprise.
Can you imagine being so sick in the head that you're using children, 3 years old, to smuggle cocaine, drugs? You gotta be truly sick in the brain.
Prosecutors say McGee became aware of the raid that was about to go down and sent word for the children in the stash house to get rid of the drugs. In a secretly recorded phone call with a co-defendant's mother, McGee said that he had told an 8-year-old boy to throw a book bag of drugs over the fence before law enforcement officers arrived. May reminded the judge of testimony from the agent about the terrified 3-year-old's reaction when agents talked to him. Quote, "I'm not a bad boy." May called it, quote, "just a horrifying scene." Judge Moore imposed a separate life sentence for McGee's role in a multi-layered financial fraud scheme against the government that he admitted to participating in. U.S. Attorney Sean Costello says he's never seen a criminal case quite like this one.
Drugs, the fraud, the guns, the violence, all of that went into the judge's calculation here today. There's a reason we asked for a life sentence. This is a man who led a crime family in Mobile, and he earned every minute of every life sentence that he got sentenced to today.
Judge Moore ruled prosecutors had proven that McGee, over nearly a decade, sold well in excess of 450 kilograms of cocaine. That's the threshold triggering a longer prison term under advisory sentencing guidelines. Judge Moore also ordered McGee to pay more than $1 million in restitution to the federal government for the fraud scheme. Prosecutors allege that McGee and his wife used proceeds from the scheme and the drug enterprise to fuel a lavish lifestyle of jewelry, cash, and travel to exotic locales. They submitted photos of that lifestyle, including one showing his $150,000 pendant reading cream. Prosecutors say that's an acronym for his motto, "Cash rules everything about me." Jason Darley, who stood by McGee as standby counsel as McGee chose to represent himself, says the defendant could see what was coming.
Yeah, I don't think there was any surprise, given the nature of how the trial went and the evidence was presented. The guidelines were astronomical and the highest I've seen in 21 years.
McGee repeatedly objected to statements made by prosecutors today, but he didn't call any character witnesses, and he didn't make any arguments regarding sentencing. For McGee, it's now on to the appeal. This time, he won't be going it alone. He's hired lawyer Christine Hernandez to represent him.
That is wild to me. And you know what's crazy is the fact that all of this stuff is going on in America and people are really not doing a whole lot about it. I mean, sure, this guy got caught, but how many others are out there that have been caught? How many other people are doing crazy crimes like this? How many other massive crimes go totally uncaught, or they just get a little slap on the wrist? Yeah, this is a horrible crime, but there are other crimes as well that people don't even know about. Look at this one. Aviante Atterbury sentenced in deadly 2025 Paynesville shooting. He was sentenced in Lake County Common Pleas Court on Monday for the 2025 deadly shooting of Willem Sheffey Jr. Take a listen.
The conduct leading up to this and the circumstances in which this offense occurred were outrageous and demonstrated a profound disregard for human life and the safety of others. At the time of the shooting, Mr. Sheffey was killed in cold blood by prior calculation and design, as the jury found. He was not the only person whose life was placed in jeopardy that day. As just outlined by the state, Brent Adams and Jeffrey Lee were in that vehicle that were subject to that gunfire. Two other completely innocent individuals, Mr. Reynoso, Mr. Ramirez, were simply going about their day when they were struck by that gunfire.
Wow.
These individuals were not participants in whatever dispute or circumstances that gave rise to the incident. They were innocent people who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Their lives were endangered by the reckless and violent conduct of those involved, including other members of the public. Mr. Atterbury, you made that choice to involve yourself in this conduct. You could have simply ignored it. You could have walked away. You could have chosen not to participate. Instead, you chose to become involved. And the choice had consequences that can never be undone. The court recognizes there are consequences beyond the defendant himself. Of course, your family and friends did not commit the offense. They were not responsible for what happened. That they too will suffer as a result of the sentence the court is required to impose today.
Do you think that he feels guilty for his crime? I mean, he just got sentenced. This guy, Steve Kersner, sentenced to life in prison without parole. He will never, ever get out. I mean, that's insane.
All right. The Geauga County Court of Common
This man right here.
Pleas is now in session. The Honorable Matthew Rambo presiding.
Thank you. Please be seated.
This was an aggravated murder 2025 death of Alexandria Kersinger in Chardon. That's insane, guys. I mean, there's so many nasty things going on. This preacher was arrested for child crimes in Florida.
I want to take you out to Polk County, Florida. That is where the sheriff, Grady Judd, giving an update on what he is calling a Florida dope-smoking pastor accused of sexually abusing a teen and exposing him to HIV. Let's listen in.
Oh.
United American Free Will Baptist Church.
Baptist Church.
And you can see that the preacher is Timothy Cheneyfield. He's 42 years of age. Well, let me show you his picture.
Oh.
This is the preacher. And you go, okay. He's also a child pedophile, a predator.
Wow.
In addition to being a preacher at this church, he's also a chaplain for Compassionate Care Hospice. And if that's not enough, between 2012 and about 2024, he worked for the school system in Polk County. Between 2012 and 2016, he was both a para and a substitute teacher. Then he went into IT, and he worked there until about 2024, and about that time is when he became the lead pastor for St. James.
If you guys have any children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren who are going to church, who are going to school, going to these after-school activities, and they're, you're leaving them alone with these people, I wouldn't do that. I really would not leave your kids alone anymore, right? There's so many crimes taking place. Look at this one. A Florida mom was violently killed by son. The son killed the mom. Crazy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. This seems like it's a daily event this week. I want to introduce you to a difference maker, to a mother, to a nurse.
Pray for her. May her soul rest in peace.
I want to introduce you to Margaret Dufour. She's 56 years of age. And this is an award she got for being a difference maker. She was a registered nurse, and she helped a lot of people along the way in her profession. And she had a son that had some significant issues. And she moved from Knoxville, Tennessee to Florida. She not only moved to Florida, she moved to Polk County. She not only moved to Polk County, she moved to Eagle Lake in a brand new house.
Wow.
A brand new house. And she had been a employee of Bartow Regional Hospital as a registered nurse for about a month. She'd lived in her new house about a month. She was assigned to the surgery floor. And here's the interesting part. We got a disturbance call at the house when she was moving in because apparently the movers tried to upcharge her or charge her more money. So deputies were sent and immediately were able to calm down the disturbance. The movers left in a huff because they didn't get what they wanted, apparently. And our deputies actually helped her move into her new house. That's the kind of customer service our deputies do. Now, there was no fanfare over that. In fact, we just discovered that when she moved in, that we helped her move the boxes in after the disturbance with the movers on July 21st. So how did we discover that on July 21st?
So what do you think should happen to the son that murdered the mom?